Are you upset and frustrated that you had an SBA EIDL loan increase reconsideration declined? And would you like to know what those 5+ reasons are, as well as get a free template to help you out and tell you and show you how much funding is left so you can hurry in and much more? Hi, my name is Michael from Viral Funding Solutions, and no further introduction. I will get into the share screen in just a few seconds, but before I do, I want to tell you this. You are not alone. I know how difficult it is to get funding out there, how hard it is just to keep your business afloat right now, or you're in that growth and expansion phase and you're just asking yourself, when will I receive my funds? What else is out there? What can I add more on top of the EIDL loans I already received here and get more elsewhere? I'm going to get into all of that and so much more. Now, let me jump into this share screen. So EIDL loan denied and 5+ SBA EIDL loan reconsideration declined reasons. Plus, I will get into a free template you can pick up and the funding amount that is remaining. So I want to actually clear up how much is available right now. And this is what you can get until about the end of April, the first or so week of May. And I know in the previous few videos I said, well, up until mid-April, but about billions been given out approximately, and there is still some remaining news. Heard of that about a couple of days ago. So there is about 8 to 9 billion or so remaining. So by the time you're watching this, it may be less. It may be around that same amount. There may be nothing available, but that's okay because I'll show you some alternative options and what your expectation should be there. Now let's get right into this. Number one, you are operating in an eligible business. Very straightforward. I'm sure that's very obvious. For you to qualify for an EIDL loan, just from the very beginning, if we're not talking about this whole increase and reconsideration of that, why you've been declined, your business must have 500 or fewer employees. And I know that's very common to many of you. You're like, well, I've already known that. Well, not a lot of people who are watching this do. A lot of people still think that the application is still open if you're a new applicant. That's been closed as of December 31st, 2021. Everybody inside for the appeals, declines, reconsiderations of all of this, whatever phase you are in that, this will help you extremely well. And so illegal activities to avoid: loan packaging, speculation, multi-level sales distribution, gambling, very common one you're going to see everywhere, investments or lending. Number two, you have a low and or unsatisfactory credit score. I know that this isn't something that's publicly released. It's something you can just find a lot of the time because sometimes it can fluctuate and it changes depending on industry and other requirements and other fundability details you have, which is very important. And one thing too, by the way, all information will be down below in the description for the SBA EIDL. For the alternatives, I came out with a video on that not too long ago for SBA EIDL loan increase reconsideration and just reconsideration in general. So make sure you check that out because the EIDL loan will only last for so long and it may come up sometime later in the future. You may be that individual that I've spoken to because I speak to people about this on a daily basis. Like, what can I do for one? And then two, I've been denied. Can I go back and email? You can try that. You can try to call back, and I'm going to get into some of the things you can do to probably like expedite the process. I have a few documents that are a few notes that I wrote down here on the side that I will get into. So please stick with me until the very end. So certain credit score requirements, a 570 plus is usually in FICO credit score that's required for loans under 500,000 or less. So anything underneath 500,000. And for larger loans, like more than 500,000, it's at least a 625 FICO credit score. So now you're getting more under that range, quite not 100% in a good range, but they give you the benefit of the doubt. And I know that's not the same if you were to go to another side, you go through a private lender, they may say, okay, you can come in with a bad credit score, 500 and above, sometimes 450, 550 and above. However, if we're basing things off of non-collateralized loans, then we're looking at primarily your cash flow and your revenue, your monthly sales, your annual gross sales is more of a factor than the amount of profit you make. But again, that depends on the type of business funding you go to. There are also no FICO credit check business funding routes that are not private lending, and they may be more expensive. You may have to meet certain requirements through these programs, but those are out there as well. So number three, you have unverifiable information. This is one that I've spoken to so many business owners lately, and this is probably the most common one that I've seen. aside from the credit score. I just had a few people the other day come to me and say, well, I've been declined for a reconsideration. And I asked them what their reason was. Well, I have a low credit score. Well, now you have an idea of where to base that and where you would fall in. And sometimes that can change. 570, it can be a little bit of a higher requirement for you to meet in the 625 as well, especially when we're looking at also if you're using some type of collateral, what is sufficient collateral? And there are other types of SBA funding, just so you know, that I'll leave videos to down below and information for, like the SBA 7A, 504, and 8A for mentoring. There are subsets to that. I just recently released a video on that. Make sure to watch it. And there will be, and also I'll have an SBA loan quiz qualifier down below, just so you know if you qualify. If you don't, there will be alternative options and how you can get started and get fast funding, even up to same day instant approval, up to 25,000, up to 2 million, 5 million, 10 million. That'll all be there. You can even get faster funding that way. So unverifiable information, ownership information is a big thing. If you have multiple owners in the business, you run multiple businesses, sometimes we don't have that information legible, or we don't just have it showing as on part of that report, or wherever we're looking at the loan officers, where they have to go look at. And you may have been denied simply because of that, and you were unable to verify some information such as your ownership. And I've had this in a lot of cases come through. Multiple owners, credit history, revenue, et cetera, are factors that play in it that may be not verifiable, as well as more in documentation. Number 4, you aren't an eligible U.S. citizen. No exception here. I wanted to make sure I stated that. You must either be a U.S. citizen or a non-citizen national or qualified alien to receive the EIDL for your business. Number 5, you haven't experienced economic injury. So you have to have some form, whether it's little, of proven economic injury that you are suffering, that you are very much in a bad state, that you really need this to use for as survival money. And it doesn't only primarily need to be used for that. What I tell a lot of people is it can be used for survival, but you can also look at it for growth and expansion. And statistically and factually proven, the numbers speak for themselves that the majority of people who get EIDL loans are using it for the payroll, debt consolidation, just survival purpose. And there may be those business owners who don't just primarily use it for that, or you do, and you're like, well, I have a growth and expansion project right here that will get me an ROI in 3+ years, so this makes sense for me to do. Or I have an ROI I want to make in about a month from now, in about 2 weeks, 3 months. And so these shorter term loan solutions are out there for that. So don't just base it off the EIDL because it has a lower interest, longer terms, these monthly types of repayments, and these types of benefits. Don't just look at the EIDL loans. There are alternative options. And again, I'll leave information for that down below in the description. So if you do not have enough evidence, data to support you needing an EIDL loan, you will not get it flat out. And this will be hard for you to make a point on, to go and send an email. It just won't work. Number 6, characteristic reasons. If you have a felony on your record in the past 5 years, this will restrict you from getting the EIDL loan. That's it. Also, you won't be approved if you have ever been engaged in producing or distributing a product or service that has been determined to be obscene by a court, or if you are suspended or debarred from contracting with the federal government and or receiving federal grants. So if you've been denied for any of these reasons, you will highly likely be declined for an EIDL reconsideration. So additional reasons, especially this is like when we're talking about over 500,000, you know, when collateral can be something that's taken into account. Lack of repayability, existing debts, your debt to income ratio, your utilization rates, right? Things when we talk about just your FICO credit score, not even getting into your business credit. And that can sometimes play a factor, but for the most part, it doesn't when we're looking at FICO and you have sufficient collateral at that point. And so if you are having outstanding debts, the amount of debt you're taking on has a lot to do with it. How many times you're getting into debt, how fast you pay that off can really help you. So when you take on something, especially in your credit cards, you make sure you make those payments on time and try to pay them off as fast as possible. Utilization rates up to 10% helps you a lot, especially if it's business credit building, and gets you access to higher limits if we're talking about that. So if you want to learn how to build business credit the right way to get access to over $250,000 in funding that's not tied to your social security number, However, it is to your EIN, which is better, and it's not where it's going to be asking for a personal FICO score, and in some cases, not even a personal guarantee. Then look for my free video series down below, as well as all of the other information. And before I continue moving forward, one other thing, if you want to get in contact with me, I have this free questionnaire down below in the description. You just complete it. It should be done in less than 30 seconds when you have everything there. It's very simple and straightforward, and you're going to get a personalized and customized email response from myself for your best funding option and options. Plus, that's not it. On top of that, you will get a free 6-step pre-approval lending checklist that will get you approved for funding much faster. So I've created all this in this document that you will be able to see. What are those steps that I need to know before I go into an application with 110% confidence and certainty that I'm not wasting my time and I know that I will get approved. We're talking about not wasting days, weeks, months, and even years of sifting through old, outdated, scammy type theory, fluff-based information. I know what works as a business loan broker / agent who's helped out so many businesses, as well as my own, will help you to really understand so you don't have to go through those complicated online marketplaces and they don't really break it down for you very thoroughly. They don't give you a human approach. They're just a number to you in a lot of cases, like insurance companies out there and so forth can be. So I won't do that. I'm going to get to know you as a human being on the personal side. And, you know, to an extent, you probably go, well, I don't want that, or that's okay, but I don't want to share too much. And I get it. I'm an introvert, so I'm not going to be like pressing on that. You know, I like to get to know people as well. And then on the business side as well. So it has to make sense as well logically on this side of the equation. So that'll be down below. You can see a form here, and that will land in my email inbox where I will then analyze, evaluate it, and give you a proper response back on your best funding option and options. Everything very much broken down. Everything you'll need to know will be in that email and so forth. And I don't hassle you or harass or anything like that. The reason why there is a number here asked for is so when, preferably mobile. So what happens is when I get this email from you and I'll analyze, evaluate it, and then reply back, then I will go ahead and send you a quick text message that then says hi, and then introduce myself just so you know who this is. It's just you're not caught out, you know, off guard or anything like that. But I'll be like, hey, I sent you an email with the subject line from this email. Can you please refer to that? What I left for you is this. This is not an automated text or an automated email. You can always, you know, you have my number. You can always go ahead and do that. And I won't, again, keep pressing. I don't pressure anybody. And there are more services that I offer. I just put some of them there, how it works, kind of more or less what I talked about, and so forth. So it'll look like this in one way or another. It may be updated over time. But let's continue moving on here. So lack of repayability, existing debts, debt to income ratio, your living expenses, huge, taxes, insurance reasons, and then you have other obligations. Perhaps you haven't taken anything else on, but we can see what plans you have. And then in the business, it kind of shows us those projections. So we kind of know in the future how much debt you will be taking on. What will your credit report history tell us? Because if you have insufficient reporting in your credit history, it's just really hard to trust someone who doesn't have enough payments or has payments, they just don't pay them on time and so forth. Everything is just scattered. Business tax information, cost of goods sold, no or insufficient collateral. Now, that is a very common thing. Now, let me get into what this reconsideration letter template would look like. And I made a separate video for this. I'll try to link to it down below. I might just try to link you to this directly that you can pick up as a copy to use for yourself, where I've already helped a lot of people get this sorted out. And again, you can pick it up down below in the description to get started. So here it is. On the top right, we have your name, your business name, your business street, your business address, excuse me, city, state, zip code, and then the dates this is being sent. And then we address who? The U.S. Small Business Administration, Disaster Assistance Processing Distribution Center, and then some of the address stuff information delivered by email to pdcrecons@sba.gov. And I have another one here you can also use. It might help you get a process much faster, and that is pdc.reconsideration@sba.gov. Again, that is what I have here that has been used, pdc.reconsideration@sba.gov. So another thing you want to do is you can get in touch with your house in the state that you're in, and you can go ahead and email a specific address here, which is firstname.lastname@mail.house.gov. And this is where you can, in a way, expedite the process, but you can get in touch with the house in your state, and you can also get an understanding of how all this is taking into place. And with the amount of remaining in the SBA EIDL, you know, we're getting into that 8 billion to 9 billion or so, ending at the around, projecting around end of April, beginning of May, first week of that, and so forth, if it even gets out that far. So those are just a few of the notes that I have put here together for you, just so you make sure where you can go ahead and get in contact with the house there, first name dot last name at mail.house.gov. Okay, and then that's for the reconsideration, by the way, in your state, a member of the house. Now, let me continue moving through this part. So subject, EIDL loan reconsideration for application. You want to make sure you put your number there. Dear you, who you're addressing, and then I am respectfully requesting reconsideration of my SBA EIDL loan modification request for application. You want to make sure you put the number there as well as your business name so they can get into the account and see all that. They have you on record. The application was denied due to denial reason, as you stated in the letter. You want to make sure you put that in this part, right? What's your reason you've been declined for the EIDL loan? And you want to be specific. Usually you want to do 3 to 4 sentences, as you see already this template is made for. Go into specific detail of what's the reasoning behind you being declined. And you can justify down here, I believe I should be eligible for the EIDL loan modification. And up here too, you could put SBA EIDL loan increase reconsideration, or SBA EIDL loan increase reconsideration, and so forth. Since we received the original EIDL loan, have provided all required this 2019-2020 tax returns that meet all other business eligibility requirements. Is a loan officer able to get in touch with me so I can provide any outstanding items that may be necessary for reconsideration and approval? Thank you for your assistance, and please don't hesitate to get in touch with me directly by phone. You do want to do that. It gives you a personal touch and gives you an advantage over just giving somebody an email address, so they can call you for the most part or email you, and then you want to put that. Make sure, you know, the thing that I tell a lot of business owners is make sure that you have, you know, especially when it comes to building business credit, legitimacy of your business. That meaning LLC, S Corp, C Corp, however you identify, and a professional email address goes a long way. So not just something at gmail.com, at your business name. So first name and then at your business name. And there are a lot of more things in there, like registering with DNB. So that is all a part of the business credit building video series down below. So make sure to pick that up. So your name, you want to end it with your business name, your application number, your phone number, and your email. So somewhat in a sense what we were getting started with there, but a little more or less. Now that's what you will be considering when you're putting in the SBA EIDL loan increase reconsideration template to use here. That again will be down below in the description. We went over what are those reasons that you've been getting declined. Now I kind of want to get into in a moment what you can then do instead, like I kind of gave you already, but just to look through this again, those 5+ so reasons that you were given, 6 more or less, and then the additional reasons. And so what you're asking yourself is, why am I not getting that? Now you know the reason behind this, and what you can actually do to move forward is you can get started by filling out this questionnaire and getting contact with myself from Viral Funding Solutions. That is where I have my brand, and that's how I help people out as a broker / agent. And here's just a quick look through just to show you. I don't usually bring this up, but just so you know that I help out a lot of people, and why I'm different than most, because I give you more of a personalized and customized approach, and I get to actually know you and get to actually break things down, show you how this all works, the qualifications, the numbers broken down very thoroughly, as I've done for many people who do. It doesn't matter from what amount you are, like complete startup, you have just a few thousand per month, you maybe have over 100,000, 50,000, million plus, which I help out a lot as well. In all cases of all industries, I can help you get through, whether it's an EIDL loan or not. A lot of cases, it may not be the EIDL loan. There are alternative solutions out there, and that's why I created a separate video on that, guys. That will be down below in the description for you to check out, and I'll have my recommendations. But just understand this, that when you're dealing with more of a private lending solution, those aren't always necessarily going to be the lowest interest rates. They should be getting used for the use of growth and expansion in a lot of cases. That's what you should use it for. And that's why there are short-term solutions. Perhaps you don't qualify for something longer, or you do. Even if that's the case, you got to ask yourself, How much debt do I really want to put myself under? Does it make sense to do a longer term? Do I even qualify for that? What are the use of my funds going for? Am I going to have an ROI within this week, within the next month or so? Okay, a shorter term loan solution makes sense. Perhaps the payment will be a little bit higher on the repayment. And that's what you have to think about. Does my benefit exceed my repayment? And that's what you should be looking at the end of the day, outside and inside also of the EIDL loans. But just to recap what we went over, and then I'll just end this video here. And we went over all these options or all the reasoning behind this. I went over the free template, the amount that's remaining, around 8 billion or so. As of the last few days, about 1 billion goes out each and every day. And again, if you missed out on this, don't worry about it. Perhaps it'll open up again in the future, but do not wait. If you really need to use the funds, like I speak to people on a daily basis, and I will get back to a few people today and go, hey, well, this didn't work. Let's start looking at this. You had already started an application there. That's fine. Don't worry about the interest rate, or don't worry so much always about the term. Term can be, but it's more about your repayment and your ability cash flow wise to be able to sustain that. And if you don't have any good cash flow coming in, there are options out there like lines of credits, invoice factoring, invoice financing, accounts receivables, right? And there are loads of options on the table. Other SBA 7A, 504, 8A options down below in the description that I'll leave for you, as well as all of my resources to get started. Now, that is going to conclude everything. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please feel free to voice them for me down below in the description. And if you have not subscribed, please go ahead and do so. And click that bell notification icon so you do not miss any future videos I will be coming out with. And if you feel like you got value out of this, please give it a thumbs up. And if you think anybody else will as well, whether you know them or not, friends and family, complete strangers, please send this out to them so they can get the help that they need, not only with the EIDL loan, increased reconsideration and so forth, but anything else outside of that, because it will all be down below in the description. That is everything from myself. Talk to you soon.